Good evening. Today's topic is about adaptation to climate change and how it has an impact on community-based tourism. I actually thought that it would be an interesting topic, though I don't have all the answers. But I want to try and share with you what adaptation to climate change might actually have an impact on community-based tourism. Most of us are familiar with what climate change is. We often talk about rising sea levels. We often talk about climate change mitigation, and we also often talk about climate change adaptation. Adapting to climate change could be something that is not so straightforward. And I wanted to try and share what the process of trying to adapt to climate change might have an impact on places that are practicing community-based tourism. Will climate change adaptation have an impact, possible impacts on how community-based tourism is run? Or could it be that community-based tourism can actually support climate change adaptation? Adapting to climate change in a community most likely will involve capacity building. Adaptation to climate change requires people in the community to experience trade-offs. Adapting to climate change will often also require people to relook and possibly experience changes in their daily lives. Adapting to climate change will quite likely have an impact on the heritage and the culture of local people. So will all this have an impact on how community-based tourism projects are designed and run? So that's what I recently have been curious about. Adapting to climate change takes time. Adapting to climate change requires people to relook at how their daily lives are being led or lived. And when community-based tourism happens in places where climate change has profound impacts, when communities try to take upon adaptation, the practices and the actions related to communities adapting to climate change might have an impact on how tourism products are being offered. Communities' adaptation to climate change might also have an impact on the perceptions of how the tourism products are being perceived as authentic. Authenticity could be an issue in some places when it comes to climate change adaptation, because when we look at the many things communities have to go through, when we look at the various actions that people in the community will have to undertake in adaptation, there could be a disruption to how tourism products are being designed and offered. Materials and ingredients will no longer be quite the same. There'll be a focus on preservation of materials and ingredients as part of the process of adapting to climate change. adapting to climate change might actually require people to give up some of the practices that they have long been accustomed or been associated with, and all this could have an impact on community-based tourism. And so in this short podcast, I wanted just to give a brief insight on how climate change adaptation could have possible impacts, for there is surely a close link between how we adapt or live with the effects of climate change and how tourism is being designed and offered in the local communities. I hope to speak with you again as I go deeper into such topics, and I hope you have gained some new knowledge by listening to this podcast. Thank you.